present, welcome to today's Standing Committee meeting on infrastructure. Today is Friday, the 29th of November, 2024. We will be discussing and deliberating on the on vote 10 specifically of the infrastructure appropriation bill. So I'd like to welcome all the honourable members, Minister, HOD, as well as all the public that have logged into this meeting. It is duly appreciated, and I look forward to a fruitful meeting. If I can, for a start, ask whether it is, if we can get the members of the committee to introduce themselves, that would be appreciated. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Peter Johnson, permanent member of this committee.
Good morning, Brett Heron, member of the committee.
Morning, Noah Franjambombo, member of the committee.
Good morning, Pat Lecker.
Member Comfort, I'm not sure. You can maybe just indicate your presence in the chat box as well. Yeah, welcome to all the members.
Good morning, Chairperson. Sorry, it's Gillian Postman standing in for Member Dave Bryant.
Thank you very much, Member Bosman. Yes, I did.
Chairperson. Chair Mora.
Yes, Mora.
Chair.
Yes, member, you acknowledge.
Morning, Chairperson. Morning, colleagues. My name is Francois. I'm an alternative member in this committee.
Thank you very much. If I can then request that the department officials and the municipal officials and the guests introduce themselves. Minister, maybe we can start through you.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, and good morning to yourself and the Standing Committee. Tertius Simmers, Provincial Minister of Infrastructure. I'll hand over to the HOD. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Chantal Smith. I'm the HOD for the Department of Infrastructure. I'm going to hand over to the CFO.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. I'm Shafira Andrews. I'm the acting CFO for the Department of Infrastructure.
Good morning, all. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Mujahid Solomons. I'm the Deputy Director of Management Accounting.
Carl.
Morning, Chair. Morning, Standing Committee. Morning, Minister and HOD and all. Carl October, Acting DDG Roads Infrastructure.
Rivka.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Rivka van der Voort, Director Management Accounting.
Thank you. Mel.
Good morning, everyone. Spokesperson to Minister Simmers.
Thanks, Chair. That's us.
Thank you very much. And we are now going to be moving over into the deliberation on vote 10, the infrastructure, the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill. And we would find vote 10 on page 217 until page 266. I also do note from the procedural officer that we have received a infographic that I would also just like to be flighted. I think it's very informative and a nice summary of all the adjustments. And it would then at this stage be that I'd ask the Minister and or the HOD to do introduction and opening remarks with regards to vote 10. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Chair. I'll do the opening remarks and I'll hand over to the HOD and the team for the nuts and bolts of, or to expand on my opening comments to the Standing Committee. Chairperson, obviously it's my distinct honor to deliberate and engage you today in terms of the 2024-2025 adjusted budget for vote 10 in terms of the Department of Infrastructure. As the Provincial Minister of Finance said when tabling the adjustment estimate earlier this week, that we are indeed still in the wake of turbulent times, which includes still the effect of COVID-19 as a pandemic. We have seen economic recession. We have seen the impact of load shedding on our country, but also our sector specific, but also multiple national disasters which we've had for the last 2 years back to back. But Honourable Chair and members, we are not deterred because, Chairperson, there is still much to be done and we are focused as Team Infrastructure. And therefore I welcome Minister Bartman's theme, which he said was the budget to weather the storm. In the main adjustment budget, we will see an increase of nearly 520 million rand for infrastructure, bringing our total adjusted budget for the 2024-25 financial year to nearly 10.8 billion rand. Notably, a significant increase in funding goes towards transport infrastructure, receiving an additional 507 million rand, which is an upwards adjustment of 9.79%. The budget also allocates a notable increase of 81 million rand towards human settlements. This is an upward adjustment of 3.79%. Similarly, our budget maintains support for EPWP or community-based programs and will increase by 240 million rand. The adjusted budget also leverages conditional grants, such as the Informal Settlement Upgrading Partnership Grant and the Provincial Roads Maintenance Grant, to secure additional funding for specific infrastructure projects. The detail thereof is in the Blue Book. And it utilizes revenue retention of over 38 million rand from the sale of first home finance properties to fund our human settlements acceleration projects. This mechanism fosters a self-sustaining approach to development, allowing for reinvestment of generated funds back into related initiatives. Disaster relief remains a cornerstone of our strategy, with national allocation of 571 million rand to repair and protect vital infrastructure. The national allocation of 388 million rand to roads infrastructure and 183 million rand to Cape Nature underscores our commitment to building safer roads and protecting our natural environment, equipping the province to withstand and recover from challenges. Key allocations also include 4.7 million rand towards the Department of Health and Wellness's Nursing College and 3.2 million rand towards its Brackengate facility. A 269 million rand allocation is made also towards agriculture for bulk irrigation infrastructure. In addition, our infrastructure budget is realigned to bolster the Provincial Revenue Fund with 50 million rand and our energy initiatives with 32.2 million rand, amongst others. We are also accelerating housing delivery with 23.9 million rand directed towards projects that provide homes, dignity and opportunity for our people. Chairperson and members, in our maiden financial year of 2023-2024, our Department of Infrastructure has received a clean audit report. Indeed, through multiple challenges which I've just highlighted earlier in this opening remarks. I therefore want to ensure the members here today and the residents who are online and which we all are here to serve, that this department will practice fiscal constraint, will manage our spending carefully, and we will ensure long-term fiscal sustainability in terms of the infrastructure department and the sector which we lead in our province. We therefore remain committed to also remain citizen-focused and to deliver excellent services to all our people of the Western Cape. And the proposed adjustments in terms of our main budget speaks to this commitment. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Minister. HOD.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. There's no opening remarks from my side, Chair. If we can get straight into the presentation with your indulgence.
Yes, we can get straight into the presentation or the deliberation.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to ask Rivka just to flight it and to take the members through it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Lacker, I note that your hand is up.
Sorry, Chair, it's an error.
Okay, thank you very much. We can move ahead into the presentation then.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Thank you very much. Is the presentation clear for everybody?
Yes, thank you. It's clear on my
Okay.
side. If any members cannot see the presentation, if they can just maybe indicate in the chat box, it would be appreciated.
Okay, then I'll continue. Okay, in terms of the adjustment budget, the department tabled a 10.792 billion adjusted allocation, a 520 million increase in the allocation. Through national, the department received 571 million rand for disaster relief. 388 million was for roads, and then through the department for Cape Nature, 183 million. In terms of Section 31(2)(es), which is the transfer between departments, the department received 2.289 million for the reconfiguration of the admin block at Kromeria, and then 269,000 for Department of Agriculture for bulk irrigation. This is the start of the project, and an additional 2,848 will be allocated in 25-26 for the completion of that project. Then Department of Health and Wellness for operational costs at both Brackengate and the Southern Cape Karoo Nursing College, 3.286 million, and then 4,787 million received from the Department of Health and Wellness. In terms of rollover allocations from 23-24, the department reallocated roads financial assistance to municipalities for construction and maintenance of municipal roads, 11.393 million. And then for human settlements, deferred ownership project of 4 million, Houtfontein solar geysers of 6.067 million, the upgrade of La Colline flats of 6.4 million, and then electrification at Railton in Swellendam of 33,000. The human settlements projects that was allocated through the rollover forms part of a bigger housing acceleration allocation for the department, an additional 78.699 million, which pushes the housing acceleration projects for the department at 118,103 million in the adjustment budget. In terms of realignment, the department surrendered 50 million to the Provincial Revenue Fund to assist Provincial Treasury in meeting pressures in the province. Then in terms of energy, the department moved 32.28 million to 26-27 to ensure continuity of the energy program, as no allocation was made beyond 25-26. And then 12.5 million was moved into 25-26 for the EMS head office upgrade, and then 3.06 million into the asset finance reserve for the project preparation facilities. And then 35 million moved to the asset finance reserve for the CYCCs. Then in terms of revenue retention, the department allocated 38.267 million for the housing acceleration. That was for over collection of the first home finance projects. And then acquisitions for health and education of 4.97 million. Then in terms of internal reprioritization for the department reallocated a compensation of employees allocations to various capacity issues within the department. 2.9 million was allocated for retirement costs, economic development hub and growth for the jobs project support, 7.3 million, acquisitions and disposals capacity of 6.7 million, asset management practices 4.6 million, then energy performance certificate compliance of 18 million, facility conditions assessment of 20.2 million, public works capacity 16 million, roads project support 11 million, and then conveyances in human settlements for 7.7 million, and also additional funding to our skills development program of 650,000. Then in terms of the departmental reprioritization to meet pressures within the department allocated in administration additional operational costs, funding for the Opti plan, and then also bursaries. This includes internal, external bursaries, as well as a professional development program. Riverlands response, the emergency response to Riverlands floods, then CIDB allocation of 3.7 million, in public works an allocation for emerge, rates and taxes, and then lease property maintenance. In terms of human settlements, operational costs, security on the departmental stock, maintenance of departmental stock, municipal services, and then housing acceleration of 23.932 million. And in our community-based programs, operational costs of 616,000, and then also additional funding to the skills development program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the overview with regards to vote 10. The adjustments that was made. I really found this this graphic very well prepared and an extremely good summary of the document. So members, it will be at this stage where I am going to request that any questions posed for clarity to the department, that we handle that at this stage. So if we can just indicate any questions by putting up our hand, and we can then handle it in that fashion. Thank you very much, Member Lackett. I see you have got your indication of a question or a comment.
Yes, Chairperson.
There we go. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Honorable Minister. Good morning to the colleagues from the department. Good morning to the honorable members, including the staff that is with us today. Allow me, Chair, to acknowledge the increase in the department's budget, which I'm going to round it off to the nearest 10 as 520 million. Chair, this money that has been allocated to the province by the national government is in response to the roads that has been damaged due to the natural disasters. And I think there are two key issues that I would like the HOD as well as the minister to address in relation to this budget. Firstly, Chairperson, I think I would not be doing justice if I do not point out to the level and challenge of extortion that we're confronted with in particularly in the metro and regions like Drakenstein. And I think this has in the main affected a number of projects in the past, causing multi-year delays. I want to check, therefore, Chair, if there are any funded projects for this year that are part of those that were delayed. And also, how does this budget speak specifically or address the challenge of extortion? Secondly, Chair, I think the departmental transfers, human settlement funds, and other projects funding to municipalities, including the City of Cape Town. We are aware that there was a former MMC who is now in court and facing charges of fraud, corruption, and collaborating with construction mafias. And I think I want to understand in the main as to, particularly on this one, is the department not concerned about the close relationships between politicians, senior officials in the city, and the construction mafias. And also, I want to check, is there no investigation to determine the extent of the construction mafia's involvement in all government affairs in the city in this regard? I'm not specifically talking to the Malusi boy, but I'm referring to all government affairs, as this Department of Infrastructure is responsible for a number of projects across the departments. May I continue, Chair? Because this was just a question in the form of the opening remarks that has been given. Can I go detailed to pages now, if I'm allowed?
Malaki, yes, you're welcome to go ahead into detail.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I want to further ask on page 218, on table 10.1, and I think the point of reference would be on compensation of employees. I want to understand, what is the justification for failure to spend over 117 million allocated for the compensation of employees? And how many vacancies were affected by this decision? And how will it impact the functioning of the department? To Chair, page 219, on human settlement. We see there's an allocation or there's a rollover from 2023 to 2024 financial year to provide for electrification cost at Railton in the Swellendam areas. I think the ANC has raised the issue of the Railton multiple times in the House, particularly regarding the lack of water and electricity. What progress has been made on this project? Page 220, Chair. Am I still allowed? Sub-program 1.3 under corporate support, the reallocation of underspending on compensation. This 117, as I mentioned initially, was allocated. So has this been reallocated again, such that the external capacity, computer services, bursaries, training, and emergency response costs related to Riverland is a concerning matter to me. And therefore, I want to understand, Chair, the reasons behind the underspending of the original budget, and does this reallocation not constitute fiscal dumping if it funds intended for essential projects are redirected for less important expenditures? And secondly, can we get clarity, Chair, what is meant by external capacity, and provide more details about its scope and purpose? I think let me pause there and get some answers, Chair, because I'm gonna miss the boat if I continue asking questions arbitrarily. Thank you. You are mute, Chair. Unmute yourself, please. I can't hear.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Yes, so if we then, before we go over to Member Heron, Minister or HOD, if we can maybe handle those 5 requests that we've received by Member Lekker.
Thank you, Chair. I'll go first en is 'n taamlike mondvol. Maar baie dankie vir die lid vir die kommentaar, maar ook ek dink pertinente vrae, voorsitter. Chair, in terms of the member's question pertaining to matters which, I mean, is now in the public domain, and she did refer to specific matters regarding the City of Cape Town. I think one needs to understand that, you know, the City of Cape Town is another sphere of government. There's a due process which is now in the court domain pertaining to one of the former councillors. And as such, you know, one needs to respect that. But also, whether they are investigating relationships between politicians and contractors, again, that's another sphere of government. But what I can talk to is our own sphere of government, our own supply chain processes, and our own oversight to ensure that the lines are not crossed. And Chair, you know, I can really put the standing committee at ease that the Department of Infrastructure, in terms of our supply chain processes, we ensure that the lines are not crossed, that there is no unsavory relationship between officials and possible contractors or contractors. And also, as the Minister, I really do not even engage at that lower level of engagement, any form, our possible contractors, even existing contractors, unless I exercise oversight and ask questions where projects are lagging or they are behind, or this matters of quality issues which is brought to our attention by possible residents or even ward councillors or proportional councillors. And where we do engage, so I engage, you know, the contractors which ultimately are doing work for our department. And remember, we don't just do human settlements, we do roads, we do a lot of other stuff, and we also do processes and work on behalf of sister departments. You know, I do that with the HOD and the relevant DDG present to ensure that we do abide by the rule of law and that the discussions are within the realm of legality. Chair, in terms of projects being affected, in terms of this current financial year, I mean, I would ask that the HOD do touch on that quite thoroughly for you, because in terms of where we were last year and where our performance is actually now, we have seen a phenomenal acceleration in terms of our delivery in human settlements, in terms of our mitigation strategy to deal with the impact that the storms have had on our ability in terms of roads. So again, you can hear that we are thinking ahead as a department to ensure that we do not underspend, that we do not under achieve on our targets. So we do have a plan B in place for each of our branches where it's quite pertinent and relevant. Chair, indeed, you know, there was a national summit hosted by the Honourable Minister Dean McPherson. We saw the launch of the national call or hotline for residents across our country, you know, to ultimately make alert, to bring to the hotline's attention of SAPS, you know, the possibility of extortion, which has various forms, I must say, which we fully support. The launch of that national hotline, given that our province has a hotline which was launched by the City of Cape Town, but also by the Cape Business Chamber. So, Chair, from our side, we'll now hand over to the HOD because it is nuts and bolts in terms of various projects which we have listed in a number of statements. When the questions arose regarding the impact of extortion, specifically on human settlements, we listed the top projects which have been affected. I have also received questions in the House which I've responded to as well in line with my media inquiries that I've had to respond to. But again, the bigger impact, or those projects which will be highlighted by the HOD and the team, are more confined actually to the City of Cape Town. We have not seen a massive increase in the levels of attempted extortion in the non-metro areas, because there we have councillors that are hands-on, communities that actually work with their councillors to ensure that does not happen, which does paint a picture of, you know, ownership of projects, more so provincial projects within the city jurisdiction. But I will stop my comment at that actually. And the chairperson, I hope I've answered Member Lekker to a certain extent. And I'll now hand over to the HOD to expand on what I've just said, but also to expand also on Member Lekker's question pertaining to COE. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. HOD.
Thank you, Chair. So let me start with a question around the projects affected by the construction mafia for the year. So the total value of the projects halted is about 390 million. The projects itself, some of the details is we have the Val Park Primary School, we have Clark Primary School, we have the Ravensmead CDC, we have Driftsense relocation, we have airport infills, and we have the TRA in Delft South. Like I said, this amounts to about 390 million. The airport infills project is about 248 million of this. The Delft South CDC is 12 million. Ravensmead CDC is 105.2 million. And then Val Park Primary School is 3.7 million. Those are all projects that have been halted as a result of the construction mafia. There was a question around how does the 520 million rand adjustment address the construction mafia? It doesn't at all, because this is a very particular adjustment. It's a conditional grant, and it may only be used for one purpose, and that is to address its disaster relief in relation to the floods, and its particular floods happening between the period of 1 December 2023 to 31st of July 2024, and therefore not the full extent of the floods and all of the flood damage. Then on COE, the justification for failure to underspend, this wasn't an issue of failure to underspend. This was in line with the national DG, the national DPSA circular, where we were indicated that we needed to control the compensation of employee budget. And for that reason, we all had to take everything out of recruitment, all departments, and then submit in phases the most critical appointments to the DG or via the DG's office to the Premier, for the Premier to then approve what appointments we are going to make, and therefore we couldn't just spend the COE budget or recruit the way we used to in the past. And this is all in an effort to curb the compensation of employee budget, as well as then to address the adjustments in terms of percentages for the increases in the cost of employees. Last year, we had more than 209 posts that were in the recruitment process that we had to retract from the recruitment process and start all over again. And that's why I'm saying it's not for a lack of trying, but it is in accordance with the rules that were issued that we couldn't do that. So that also gives an indication of how many vacancies were affected last year. Then how will it affect the functioning of the department? Well, at the moment, what we are doing, and this is where the issue, this is linked to the question of what is external capacity. If we can't get people in through COE, then we do get capacity in via contract appointments. So the supply chain process, which is another way of dealing with the vacancies in order for us to still be able to deliver what we need to deliver. The electrification for Railton, that issue is not an issue that is actually a obligation of the department. The electrification of Railton is an Eskom matter. We have a number of projects that's affected by the fact that Eskom can't put electrification in when they need to, or the municipality for bulk infrastructure such as water and others. And what we then do is from the departmental asset finance reserve, we make money available with the permission of Minister in order for us to almost provide bridge funding, as it were, to ensure that we don't have houses that's handed over without electrification until such time that Eskom can give the money. It is problematic, but if we do not do this, we are affecting households and people that were on the waiting list quite some time. This issue has been addressed at the Energy Council as well, and we are getting Eskom in the room to say how will they fix this. It's not just in the space of human settlements that we have this problem with Eskom, as well as with the infrastructure on a municipal level. It is really across the portfolio, and this is just one way for us to make sure that we enable the delivery of infrastructure, even if it means that we have to front load, as it were, some of those projects. I've answered the question about the corporate support. Has this been has this been reallocated? Corporate support money, yes, it has. We are not losing anything. We were requested to surrender 50 million rand to the Provincial Revenue Fund, and that is because of the pressures in the province as a whole, and therefore all departments had to dip in and help so that pressures elsewhere, such as education and others, could be funded. Then is this fiscal dumping? No, it isn't. If we talk about essential projects, we didn't take any money away from essential projects. This is money that was compensation of employees' money that we were relocating for pressures elsewhere in the budget. If we take the Riverlands issue, really we do not consider that less essential. What we did as a Department of Infrastructure was to respond to the disaster, as it were, of the dam walls breaking in Riverlands and those people being without any place to go. For us, that is not something that is of minor importance. In fact, when it comes to the protection of life and limb, then this is the department's first call. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, HOD, for that thorough explanations. We are now moving over to Member Heron.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the department for the graphic and for the introduction. My questions are just really for clarity, because there's not much, I think, in the adjustment that that worries me particularly, but I just want to understand some of the movement of funds. So I'm on page 226 of the Blue Book. I have a question about, under the shifting of funds between votes, Program 2, Public Works Infrastructure, there's a small amount, 3.2 million from vote 6, and then the description is to fund operational costs for the usage of a transitional care facility. Now, just if I can just understand what role does infrastructure play in actually managing the operational costs of a healthcare facility? Then there's some movements that don't make sense to me, and I'm sure that there's a logical explanation for it. But under the same, also on page 226, under the Public Works and Infrastructure, there is 25 million rand received from social development for CYCCs. But if you go further down the page, under the realignment of the provincial budget, there is a realignment of funds of 25 million from the vote 7 for the provision of CYCCs, as well as a 35 million realignment earmarked funding for capital projects at CYCCs surrendered to the asset finance reserve. So I don't understand why we realign 25 million rand, but then take a transfer from vote 7 of 25 million rand. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what has been said here, but if I can get some clarity on that. Also on page 226, the 38 million from the sale of first home finance properties. So with those FHF properties developed by the Department of Infrastructure in the Human Settlements branch, and if so, which FHF properties are they? Still on page 226, the realignment of funding for energy projects to 2026-2027. Which energy projects are those? Are they for the provincial buildings around the province, or is it the energy projects within the Department of the Premier? And then my final question, also on page 226, is the small amount, 3.8 million from human settlements, that is moved to the Provincial Revenue Fund. If I can just understand the source of that funding, from what I could see from the original budget, the Human Settlements branch funding was almost entirely conditional grant. So do we have the flexibility to move funds to the Provincial Revenue Fund if it is a conditional grant? And then I'm just going to jump to page 233. At the beginning, when the CFO was presenting the graphic, she indicated that the 6.4 million rollover in the Human Settlements vote, or vote program 4, was for the upgrade of the La Colline flats in Stellenbosch. But on page 233, it says it's for the purchase of the flats. So can we just get clarity? Are we upgrading the flats, or if we're purchasing them, who are we purchasing them from? Are they privately owned? What is the background there? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we handle that, Member Beatrice, I see your hand is also up. And Member Lacke, I do note in the chat box you've got a follow-up, so we'll handle that. Member Beatrice, you can go ahead.
Good morning, Chairperson and all colleagues, and good morning to the Minister. Chairperson, my question is directed to the Minister. And my concern is those upcoming contractors. How can we assist them, the SMMEs and the upcoming contractors, not only as subcontractors, but as specialized main contractors to benefit out of all the funding?
Thank you very much. Member Mbombo, I note your hand as well. I'm just going to ask that Minister, you and the between that we just handle Member Heron and Member Beatrice's inputs.
Now, thank you very much, Chair. I'll have a first bite at the cherry. In terms of Member Beatrice, indeed, my department has a program where we monitor and observe the progression of SMMEs in terms of the various contracts across our province. There's a number of success stories pertaining not only to branch human settlements, but also branch general infrastructure and branch roads. And I think I'll actually ask that the HOD highlight some of those successes, because we've seen somebody come in as a 1 who's now a 4, a 2 who's now a 5 and a 6. And I mean, it does speak to our commitment as a department, but also we also have the empowerment impact assessment tool. Again, we're the only department that monitors the impact of our investment in terms of emerging contractors. But it's also, secondly, dependent on these emerging contractors being part of our other programs, which seeks to empower them so that they can progress to bigger contracts in terms of monetary value. Member Heron, in terms of flats, the La Colline flats, remember that my department or our department owns a number of stock, rental stock. Obviously, we're in the process of transferring those to municipalities which do accept them. So the one in question is one of those that were accepted. So I would just have, the CFO to give you clarity on that, because another municipality which has benefited from the transfer of our rental stock to them in terms of title transfer, obviously linked to certain.
Is it only on my side, or have we lost the Minister there?
No, we've lost the Minister, Chair.
Okay. Then maybe HOD, if I can ask you to go ahead so long, and then we'll just get the concluding remarks on these inputs by the Minister when he's back.
Thanks, Chair. The Minister is traveling, so he has a little bit of a connection issue. But let me start with some, and then my team will fill in if I missed any of it. So Brackengate, the question that was asked, just to say, the Brackengate facility is a custodian of infrastructure in the province. We lease and build and buy facilities on behalf of other departments. Brackengate is one of those facilities that we lease on behalf of the Department of Health, and they annually then pay the lease cost back to us, and that is just the lease cost that you see there. The other one is the La Colline issue is we are devolving La Colline flats to the Stellenbosch municipality. It's an error on the second page that you mentioned where we talk about purchasing. We're not purchasing or acquiring anything. The municipality of Stellenbosch is acquiring from an accounting point of view. They are acquiring the flats, and we're giving them money just for the upgrade so that in terms of the stock that they would have, the stock isn't, what can I now say, it's actually stock that we have upgraded. So we allow them, or we give them the funding for the upgrading of the stock so that they are able to either sell the stock or lease it out. Then in terms of the 38 million in the first home finance, which properties are they? Chair, we don't have the list with us, but we will certainly make it available to the committee as soon as we just get a formal request, or the committee can send us an email, and we will do that. The energy projects, which projects are those? So there are mainly 3 to 4 departments that has energy projects. We are one of them, and the energy projects, the budget that we are smoothing out is money that we hold that is actually meant, we call it a PPF, which is basically a fund that we have that assists municipalities in order for them to be able to unlock additional energy through projects that they do. So we buy in assistance for them. We get them the kind of project teams and so on and so forth that they would require, and that's to help them put out tenders in the market, because generally municipalities don't have that capacity. So that's the money there, and it's a project run by DOI. Then in terms of the 3.8 million for COE under program 4, all we did is the 50 million that we told you we had to surrender to the revenue fund. What we did is we had to take out all of the COE money from each one of the programs. That is just human settlement. So program 4's money under COE from the provincial equitable share. So not project money at all. And Member Heron is quite correct in saying human settlements is a grant funded program, and that is true. But the compensation of employees fund for human settlements comes out of the equitable share, and that's the money that we're talking about. So every program had to give their share of the 50 million that we spoke about in terms of giving that to the provincial revenue fund. Then just to maybe add some detail to Member Petrus's question about how we assist smaller contractors to become main contractors. So what we did is we've always put in place framework contractors for the last 10 years or so. And the reason why we do that is because there's a rule in the CIDB legislation that says if a contractor moves from one grade to the next, in other words, they grow and they are able to tender in higher grades, then they would have to show as one of the criteria one single project that they had, or one tender that they had up to a certain value, and their capability to have completed it successfully. So the mechanism that we've put in place is framework contracts, although what has happened over a number of years is we used to use these framework contracts for health and education has since decided that they are not giving us any scheduled maintenance projects, and that affects these small contractors because it affects the framework agreements. If we don't have any money to do so, then it is very difficult to give them any work. Chair, I don't know if I've left out anything. Let me just check with the team if there was. Yes, there was the CYCC question that Mujahid will answer.
Good morning, everybody. Just in response to Member Heron's question about the shifting of funds on page 226, It is a bit confusing. The reason is that Department of Social Development, or Vote 7, is utilizing 25 million rand in the current financial year to allocate to Vote 10. However, we are actually only requiring the monies which we've indicated for next year, 2025-26, and also in the following year, 26-27. So it's the way that it is required to be formatted relating to the provincial treasury templates. So it's an in and out essentially for us, because it doesn't affect our current financial year, but it does affect their current financial year. But we will see the effect in our allocations for the next 2 financial years for Vote 10. The other question relating to the CYCC capital project money, where we've realigned 35 million rand. It was surrendered to an asset finance reserve, which is a reserve that we allocate monies to for future use. So when the funds are actually required, it will be then requested in a formal adjustments process, and we anticipate that to be in the next financial year. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Before we go over to Member Mbombo, General Officer, if we can just note the request for the list to the first-time finance properties, as mentioned by Member Heron and the HOD. So we are going to Member Mbombo, followed by Member Lecker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister. Thank you. Just a general input. We need to acknowledge that structure is not only an enabler, but also
Member Mbombo, I'm not sure, you're breaking up quite badly. Your sound is not very clear on my side.
Good. Even now?
That's better.
Okay, that's better. Okay. So I was saying that infrastructure, investing in infrastructure is not only but also attract investors. Recently, I've been traveling big cities where you'll find that it attracts most of the tourists and other people. Want to welcome the investments and the monies that have come in regards to boosting the infrastructure. Having said that, that's why it becomes such an interest across all sectors. It's not only about also the building, as I indicated, that it's about the economy, where when they say that when there's a healthy economy, healthy people and so forth. Interest, when I question this, it's not only about the building, it's all about in relation to as a. So before I go ahead, probably HOD might correct me. For the whole of the infrastructure adjustment in the for the province generally, because this department is also an implementing agent for the others, whilst the money might still be within those departments. So generally for this financial year, including the Catalyst and Agriculture Infrastructure Project, the investment is about 832. It includes the existing infrastructure assets. Adjustment is about 400 and something. The new infrastructure assets, the adjustment is 117. Actually, I've already presented, and all of those. So that is a lot for the 832. Or if I remove the catalyst, it becomes 802 million. So for this money, which we only left with 2 months, 2 months, because we know from
Oh, you're breaking up quite badly again now.
Let me put my thing. I don't know why I keep because I'm using the parliament thing. I don't know why I'm breaking up. Let me put on my my ears. Just give me 1 minute. 1 minute. I'm just putting now I'm fighting my thingy. Probably, Chair, you can give it to member Leka. I'll come back whilst I'm putting my headset.
Perfect. Perfect. I was just about to say. Member Leka, we can then move over to you so long.
Thank you, Chair. I have a follow-up, Chairperson, in relation to the actual adjustment. With regards to the disaster relief, are there areas of priority? And if there are, can we get a detail as to which are those areas that will be prioritized? Because we have been told that the money is meant only for the disaster relief. So can we get details as to which are those areas that will be prioritized and what then happens to the outstanding areas per region? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Mbombo?
I'm in. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Much better, yes.
Okay, I have to put my pilot headset. I really don't know why I keep on, but I'm using the Western Cape, the tablet. But as I was saying, Chair, the total investment in infrastructure for the province, including the catalytic agriculture infrastructure for this adjustment, for the total that includes the existing infrastructure, the new infrastructure, the transfers, it goes to about 832,560 million rands. Now, my question is about, we know that December, January is a contractor holiday. It means that all this money will need to be, if not used by end of March, it needs to be committed. And we hear it when the National Treasurer, when they were saying that when they're giving us the disaster infrastructure money, that it's unlikely that there will be, they could allow it to be spread over 2 years, but as long that there are commitments. So now my question is about, when I look at the targets that added in September, which is the Q1 and Q2, there was a justification or a motivation of why, for example, the targets in Q1 is 42%. We understand Q1 is always difficult to meet all the targets. Q2, 52%, and it's also 35% on capital spent by the Q2. And the rationale for these under expenditures or slow spending, it's about, for example, for the public works, it was related to the PFPs, specifically on the rehabilitation and the refurbishment and all of those. On the human settlement, it was indicated that if the large projects, they are still falling too much in the initiation stage. Now, when you have so many transfers, which is putting all of it at 832, and then which also the other one coming from the grant, mostly for the for the transport. Now, when you have an under expenditure, existing under expenditure, and you are the implementing agent for the other departments, and yet the targets haven't been achieved, and there's keep on movement of monies across, which is, we saw that the transfer is about, the adjustment is about 146. How would you ensure that this money is going to be utilized and all these projects will be committed to? Because you don't want a situation when the money now said, we send it back to national because they knew that we only have got 2 months. But because it was disaster funds money, it's based on what was submitted for the request. I think they submitted about 1.9 in regard to the infrastructure disasters, which is got back about 1.2. So how will we be able now to make sure as an implementing agent, because you have undertaken to do the Cape Nature, the agriculture, and other rehabilitation of some of the other departments. Secondly, do you have a platform, interministerial platform or HODs where you engage with these other departments, which are your clients in regard to this? Because I look in terms of what are these other projects that ended up not being, now there are many transfers or rollovers in regard to that. And then lastly, education is getting about 250 million, which is part of the Rapid Schools BFI. I don't see it here. So does it mean that the education do their own thing? They are not part of this? And what extent that you are also involved in these kind of projects? If so, if it's happened that it's likely that you won't be able to utilize all this almost R1 billion only for this in year, at what extent that then you could be able to say to the other departments, please do a plan B, because we won't be able to, because it's a lot of money just for only for transport infrastructure of the 541 million grant, in addition to the existing projects that we are busy with. So my worry is about getting money and then end up not being utilized. And the benchmark we have seen is that you haven't reached your targets in this in year. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Before we get to those as well, Member Comfort.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Chair. Thank you for your opportunity, and colleagues and the department. Chair, mine is very short. We mentioned it already in the House. We have a big worry and a concern, Chair. We spent a lot of money in 2023 on infrastructure with the flood in the Cedarburg area in the Western Cape and West Coast. A lot of money in 2023 with the flood with the bridge in the incoming on Citrusdal. And in 2024, this year, the same happened. What me worry, that was the same contractor was used in 2023, the same contractor in 2024. And currently, we are busy with this road that happened in June. It's only one way, one road, one way to use from June. Oh, can you hear me? Yo, yes. We lost Chair. Yeah, no, I can hear you. Okay. That is my concern. It's currently busy. The big concern, Chair, what I see, the bridge what is busy with building is on the farmer's property. And if I'm wrong, you must correct me. So that is my worries. The currently is busy with replace the bridge, but it's on the property on the farmer's place in my view. The other thing is, Chair, the R303 in the Witzenberg area have the same problem in 2004. The people can't go to school. The road was flat. You can't come from this area, the Elandskloof, to Cedarburg, to Citrusdal, off to Ceres. And nothing was doing until now on this place. So, Chair, that is my two concerns. What happened on this place? Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much, Minister. I note your hand is up.
No, thank you very much. Apologies for breaking or losing my signal earlier on. I'm back with a bang. Chair, just on terms of the Citrusdal Road, I think it's important for the members to understand the previous section of the roads which we repaired, the integrity remained intact with the recent floodings earlier this year. 3 other components of the same road actually is what caused the issue. What we have done is we've built a temporary bypass as you leave the N7 and you enter the Citrusdal. On the right-hand side, as you go towards Citrusdal, it's a temporary bypass which we had to build with the permission, obviously, of the farmer to ensure that there could be one-way directed traffic as we ultimately are busy upgrading the two old or the singular culvert system to a double culvert system, which is higher and wider, to ensure that the integrity of the structure can withstand any future storms, because we are future-proofing that component of the road as well. So I just want to really put the member at ease there. We have built in-house capacity within the West Coast District Municipality. The road that was repaired last year, nothing happened to it during the storm. Actually, 3 other components. Hence the redesign, but the need for a temporary bypass to ensure that we properly can recalibrate and install 2 new culverts, because ultimately what the members saw on top of the road, I was actually in the old culvert, which was a multiple, like a Lego system, and 3 of the Legos slipped a bit, which caused the mainline crack on the left-hand side. So I really do want to put the member at ease there in terms of the Citrusdal Road. I would just ask that the HOD respond to the R303 in terms of Witzenberg, because again, Chair, we need to understand that we've had back-to-back storms. We've had to reprioritize funding to ensure certain roads of economical value, but also that next communities are opened up. Again, as much as we are thankful for the money we've received now, we reported to the standing committee that actually the true impact of the damage to our road network was well close to 2 billion almost, actually. So I do want to actually just to touch on that so that members can fully understand, but also in terms of what roads are not going to be prioritized, because this is a conditional grant, meaning that there is specific projects which would have been earmarked by the National Department when they actually gave this earmarked allocation in terms of our roads grant. Thank you, Chair. Just wanted that clarity, because I do not want the perception to remain that Citrusdal Road was inferior construction quality, which it was not. There's 3 other sections which actually gave in due to subterranean infrastructure being heavily affected. Again, not because of the road infrastructure itself, but because of poor river maintenance and routine maintenance by the agricultural sector and the surrounding farmers in conjunction with the relevant national departments, and the time that took to actually give permissions and licenses for them to do so. Thank you, HOD.
Thank you, Minister. So as far as the question of Witzenberg is concerned, I'm going to link it to the question asked by Member Lekker. So just to say, the entire flood damage bill, if we talk about an estimated bill for flood damage for the floods since December of 2022, then what we are standing on is 1.8 billion. Last year, December, we required 850 million to fix only 70% of the flood damage. So therefore, from a prioritization point of view, as Minister has rightly said, we need to look at a number of factors, and we are understanding that we can't fix all of those roads. If we do, just understand the reprioritization means we are pushing the road program, so the normal maintenance and the normal capital programs out. And I did this presentation when we did the main budget for the committee. I indicated we are pushing it out by more than 2 financial years. In other words, if we have to spend current roads money on fixing flood damage repairs, which is not new projects, which is not the projects that's on the list, then what we are doing is this program is pushed out even further. Member Lekker's question was, the money that we got, are these areas of priorities? The question is yes, or the answer is yes. Let me just explain that money again. Of the 571 million, what needs to be understood is for Cape Nature. Cape Nature never ever gets grant funding through this mechanism. This is a special arrangement because there is no mother body through which Cape Nature can get grant funding in response to a disaster. So of that 571 million for both roads and Cape Nature, the conditions are very specific. Like Minister said, it must have been for floods happening between the time period of 1 December 2023 and 31st of July 2024. The other floods are not considered in this allocation. Likewise, the National Department of the National Disaster Management Department had to, with National Treasury, do a validation, and they have a list of verified projects. Part of the condition is that we may only use this money for those projects, and therefore we are waiting for them to send us the lists. For the adjustments estimate, we've even elevated this to the Provincial Treasury, who's had countless evenings engagements with National Disaster Management as well as the National Treasury, and we still don't have the list. So this then goes back to the question that was asked by Member Mpombo. So let me just start off by saying this 571 million for roads and Cape Nature, we are waiting for the list from National. The moment, because we are not allowed to use this or to replace the funds that we used on flood damage with this money. It's off the table. We've had those engagements. They do not want it. If there's issues on the program list that they have, where we've already started work, we are not supposed to use this money. We must use our own money. So they have the list and we have to get the list from them. Like Member Mpombo rightfully indicated, the one key feature here is that the agreement is that we must have a finalized list by probably around about February, and that the only thing that we need to show in terms of this money is that we've committed those projects. You would understand that the Cape Nature projects is actually for the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, and therefore ours is to assist them in order for them to be able to commit this funding so that they don't lose any money. Then, as far as the rest of the money is concerned and the transfers by other departments, Member Mpombo, we have actually already spent all of that money. So remember the lease for Brackengate, we pay the lease on a monthly basis and then we do an interdepartmental claim. That is what you will see there for the Department of Health. Likewise, for .P, the Edmund block, we have the contract, we already pay the contractor, and then we do an interdepartmental claim to replenish our own budget for which we have used for this. The same with the bulk irrigation for agriculture, and the same for the Nurses College. The acquisitions, that money sits in our asset finance reserve. We use the whole year to make sure that we do the work and we get everything registered, and then every adjustment, we only go and ask for the money that we need to pay in that financial year for all of the costs associated with the purchasing of the properties. So that money technically is already spent. This is a matter of us getting it back and then paying for it. That's why we never keep that money in our main budget. We leave it in the asset finance reserve, and we only go this time of the year to go and ask it so that we pay it, so that there's no money left over from our point of view. The revenue retention there, in terms of housing acceleration, it's the same issue. The whole point is that this money sits in the AFR, and what we do is we only go and ask for the money where we already have spent the budget and we now need the money so that we replenish the best part of it with the asset finance reserve part of it. So in terms of the targets for Q2 and your view of the expenditure for the department, just to say, in the road space specifically, in Q2, what we find is we have a lot of reseal work that needs to happen on our roads, but there is an embargo, a legislative embargo on doing reseal works in winter months. The problem that's happening here is you can understand that due to the climate change issues, that what we now find is the winter months is extended. So the embargo was only lifted on the 15th of October of 2024, and therefore you will now see a massive increase in the expenditure from a roads point of view. So people are, and the contractors are prepared to work over the December holidays. In fact, we were asked on some of the projects, even the flood damage repairs, can we stop the road works for tourism activities? And the answer is no, we can't do that. We do want to not just spend the budget, but complete this program, given the program that we have for next year. So the question about education and the money that they receive, Minister, we've received nothing from education to do any work. In fact, the total amount that was received by this department for education for the year was something in the region of 528 million, of which they have already reduced that amount and stopped projects without replenishing it with different projects. So the Rapid Build, this department is completely not involved in any money that they get from BFI or any projects associated with Rapid Build. I hope I've answered everything, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, HOD. I do note that we are quite pushed for time at this stage. So, Member Leka, I know you have a follow-up, but what I would like to request is that that we maybe get that follow-up in writing or handle it as part of the resolutions later on in the meeting. I have given you a couple of bites at the cherry. So if I can, because I also would like to afford the members of the public that might be present the opportunity for any inputs. Is there any members of the public present, Procedural Officer?
No, Chair, I haven't been made aware of any.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you very much. It is with this then that I would like to hand again to the Minister and the HOD for any closing remarks that you might have.
I think, Chair, just from our side,
Before Chair.
again to your member.
Chairperson, I just have a follow-up.
Yes, Member Lackett, I just need to, I'm just conscious of the time, so I have, that's why I've mentioned that if we can maybe handle your...
This meeting, Chair, this meeting is from 8 o'clock until 9:30, and it's now 17 minutes past 9. So you can't use that as an excuse for not to ask questions.
Yeah, what I said is we'll can handle your follow-up just in the resolutions and then get it as a written in a written response. I said we can handle your questions just as part of the resolutions and formulate it in such manner so that we can then get written response and then we'll handle it in that fashion. So yes, like I said, we've got 13 minutes 13 minutes left to do this. So yeah, then sorry about that, Minister. If we can, any closing remarks from your side or the HOD?
Chair, just from our side, to thank the committee for the questions in terms of the adjustment budget. I found your questions quite intriguing and also penetrating, which is what I would expect, given the sheer size and complexity of the Department of Industry budget, which you have oversight over. But I do also hope that the adjustment has set the tone. Also, the midterm budget policy statement has set the tone for what we are building up towards the main budget, which we will table next year. And I look forward to further engagements. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Minister. HOD, any closing remarks from your side?
Just want to take the opportunity to thank my team, Chair, first and foremost, for the preparation and the hard work, and even just the ability for us to get here. And then secondly, to the committee, Chair, for the questions and really demonstrating that you are looking into the work. It helps us. And it also provides us with some guidance on what is it that you are looking to see and how do we respond when we, of course, come to this committee to present what we've done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much to the Minister, the HOD, the whole department. Thank you for the thorough clarification on the questions. It is always appreciated when we get these thorough answers, especially with regards to this infographic. It was really informative and really appreciated, unpacking this big department. So it's at this stage where I am going to afford the opportunity, Minister and HOD, if you can, you're allowed to excuse yourself. I know you've got a lot of other engagements as well. So from my side, thank you very much. I hope you have a great day further. So you are to excuse yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks. Members, we are now moving to the consideration of the committee report on vote 10 in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill. If we are now going to the support or not supporting this specific vote. So if I could maybe ask members that are in support of this vote, if they could at this stage please raise their hands. Okay, so we have got just for record purposes, procedural officer, I'm just putting my hand in up as well. Member Lacker, I note your hand is up there now, so that's fine. Member Petrus's hand is up. So in favor is myself, or supporting is myself, the Vessels, Member Bosman, Member Mbombo, Member Heron, Member Johnson, and Member Petrus. If I could ask everyone to just lower their hands again, and those that are not in support of the vote, if they could at this stage raise their hand.
Chairperson, the ANC
Member
would
Lacker,
like to reject the report and the budget.
So you just broke up there a bit, but I got that I got that the ANC is not in support of the vote. It will be documented as such on the report, and should the ANC member Lacker, should you want to express the reasoning behind your non-support, it will be documented in the minutes of the meeting and not on the report itself. Chairperson, if I can then, it's at this stage that member Lacker or members of the ANC, if you would like to have your minority view documented in the minutes, I would afford you the opportunity now.
We are exercising a minority rule in terms of Rule 90, Chairperson.
Perfect. Thank you very
audible?
much. Yeah, you're audible.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Procedural officer, would you just like me to read the report, or would you to read the report?
Chair, you can read the report.
Thank you very much. So the report would read that the draft report for the Standing Committee on Infrastructure on vote 10, infrastructure, in the schedule of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill, page Bill 224, dated 29th of November 2024, I would assume, as follows: that the Standing Committee on Infrastructure reports that it has concluded the deliberations on vote 10, infrastructure, in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill, referred to the committee, in accordance with Standing Rule 188, reports that it supports the vote. And then in accordance with Standing Rule number 90, the African National Congress expressed their minority view that it does not support the vote. Can I get a procedural officer? Do I need a proposer and a secondment on this? I assume.
Yes, Chairperson.
If I can get someone to propose and someone to second this report, please. Member Bosman is proposing and Member Heron is seconding. Thank you very much. That is then so noted and accepted. We then move on to a committee to consideration and adoption of the draft committee minutes of the meeting that was held on the 12th of November. I don't know if procedural officer, do you need to flight those minutes?
Yes, Chair, just give me 1 second so that I can flight it quickly.
Thank you very much. You can scroll down. And these were the resolutions: the Cluster B oversight visit to Kanaland, Oudtshoorn, Knysna, George and Mossel Bay, and that we invite SAPS, the City of Cape Town, Department of Infrastructure, Western Cape, Department of Community Safety to provide the committee on the following: extortion cases, prosecution, outcomes, impact on housing development, spatial department strategies and national support. And that was then adjourned at 9:30. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for the minutes, please? Member Petrus.
Chairperson, the assistance and the help for out of all this funding for upcoming contractors and specialized contractors to empower them is very important for us.
Yeah, we can handle that in the resolutions of this meetings. Yeah, we now just handling the minutes of the meeting of the 12th. So yeah, I did make a note of that, member.
Chairperson.
Perfect, thanks. Yeah, if I can get a proposal and a secondment on for the minutes, please. Member Johnson is proposing.
Proposing, Chair.
Thank you. Second. Anyone?
A seconder isn't required, Chairperson. A proposal is enough.
All right, perfect. We then, procedural officer move to the resolutions for that we've taken, and I have asked that you just note the list as required by Member Heron for this time was page 226. That we, as a resolution, request a list of the first home finance property that it be provided to the committee. That, as Beatrice now, that we aiming to upcoming contractors, how it is managed by the department, as well as what the minister mentioned with regards to some of those success stories. If they can just indicate that. So that was another one. Yes, and then Member Lacker. go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Let me add on the resolution that Member Petrus and yourself spoken to, that we get a list of these small companies that has been upgraded.
Yes.
True, Chair, we have been told that there is a departmental rental stock that is being devolved. I want to get, it's good that it came to this level of a resolution. Therefore, we must get a detailed check as to what is the rationale behind devolving the rental stock. Upon which this decision was taken, a proper detail, including as to who are the intended beneficiaries that will be affected or being given this opportunity when this rental stock are being devolved. I think that's very crucial because we're talking of provincial rental stock that is being devolved, and we don't know when and how this decision came about. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member. I think that's a very valid input. Is there any other resolutions? I noted Member Lackers, Member Petrus's, Member Heron that requested the list. Any other resolutions? Doesn't seem like it. So in the absence of any other resolutions, I would like to thank the procedural officer, all the members that are present and that were present in the meeting for the thorough deliberations. It is much appreciated. Thank you very much. And this meeting is then adjourned and you must